Attraction that lasts never begins with tactics, it begins with self-mastery. When a person develops control over their emotions, thoughts, and behavior, they naturally project a sense of stability that others can feel without a single word being spoken. This stability is powerful because it signals security, and people are instinctively drawn to environments where they feel safe, respected, and free from pressure. Self-mastery starts with emotional independence. This means your sense of worth is not decided by attention, approval, or rejection. When someone's interest fluctuates, your confidence remains steady because it is rooted in how you see yourself, not how you are seen. That quiet certainty changes the dynamic of every interaction. Instead of trying to gain validation, you offer presence. Instead of seeking acceptance, you express authenticity. And authenticity is compelling because it cannot be faked for long, it must be built. Another essential part of self-mastery is discipline over reactions. Many people respond to disinterest with urgency. They try harder, speak more, explain themselves, or chase reassurance. But restraint communicates strength. When you can remain composed, patient, and centered regardless of external response, you demonstrate emotional leadership. This doesn't mean suppressing feelings, it means understanding them without being controlled by them. The ability to stay grounded when outcomes are uncertain signals maturity, and maturity invites respect before it ever invites attraction. Self-mastery also requires purpose beyond connection. When your life is directed by goals, values, and growth, you bring substance into every interaction. You are not searching for someone to complete you, you are sharing a life that is already in motion. This sense of direction makes your attention meaningful because it is given by choice, not by need. People notice when someone's time and energy are guided by intention rather than dependency. Equally important is self-respect expressed through boundaries. When you know what you value and what you will not compromise, you create clarity around how others can engage with you. Boundaries are not barriers, they are expressions of self-worth. They communicate that your presence is not available at any cost, and that quality of connection matters more than quantity of attention. This naturally elevates how others perceive you, because value is recognized where standards exist. Ultimately, self-mastery is attractive because it transforms interaction into experience. Instead of trying to produce interest through effort, you allow interest to emerge through presence. Your calmness reduces pressure. Your authenticity invites curiosity. Your stability creates trust. When you become centered within yourself, you no longer seek to be chosen, you become someone worth discovering. Influence in human connection rarely comes from persuasive words, it comes from the emotional atmosphere you create. Presence is the silent language people understand instantly. Before logic engages, people register tone, pace, posture, and intention. When someone feels at ease in your company, interest becomes a natural response rather than a negotiated outcome. True presence begins with attention. Many interactions fail not because of what is said, but because attention is divided. When you listen fully, not waiting to respond, not searching for the next clever remark, you communicate respect. Focused listening tells someone they matter in that moment. This alone is rare enough to be memorable. People gravitate toward those who make them feel heard without interruption or judgment. Calm confidence is another element of powerful presence. Confidence is often misunderstood as dominance or performance, but its most compelling form is quiet certainty. It appears in unhurried speech, steady eye contact, and relaxed body language. This composure signals that you are comfortable with yourself and with silence. When there is no pressure to impress, space opens for authentic interaction. That space allows curiosity to grow where tension might otherwise exist. Authenticity deepens presence even further. Attempts to persuade often rely on presenting a curated version of oneself, polished, agreeable, strategically impressive. Yet people intuitively detect inconsistency between performance and reality. Authentic expression, on the other hand, carries coherence. When your words, emotions, and behavior align, trust forms quickly. Trust is not created by perfection, but by consistency. When someone knows what energy to expect from you, their guard lowers naturally. Presence also includes emotional awareness. This means sensing the tone of an interaction and responding appropriately. If the moment calls for lightness, you bring warmth. If it calls for depth, you offer sincerity. Emotional awareness is not manipulation, it is responsiveness. It shows that you are engaged not only with your own experience, but with the shared atmosphere between you and another person. Restraint plays an essential role as well. Persuasion often tries to fill every silence, explain every thought, and secure every outcome. Presence allows pauses. Silence, when held comfortably, communicates confidence and invites the other person to step forward. It transforms interaction from performance into exchange. Ultimately, presence replaces pressure with experience. It shifts the focus from convincing someone to appreciate you toward allowing them to feel something genuine in your company. When people feel calm, respected, and emotionally safe around you, persuasion becomes unnecessary. Interest grows not because it was pursued, but because it was allowed to emerge in an environment shaped by awareness, authenticity, and attentive energy. Interest rarely appears as a sudden decision, it develops as an emotional response to experience. People move toward what makes them feel alive, understood, and positively stimulated. When interactions consistently produce meaningful emotional shifts, curiosity replaces indifference and connection begins to form naturally. Emotional experience is shaped first by warmth. Genuine kindness, attentive listening, and respectful engagement create an environment where someone feels valued rather than evaluated. Warmth is not excessive praise or constant agreement. It is the steady expression of goodwill. When a person senses that your attention is sincere and not transactional, they relax. In that relaxed state, openness becomes possible. Yet warmth alone is not enough to sustain interest. Emotional contrast is what gives interactions depth. Contrast emerges when kindness is balanced with independence and engagement is balanced with self-direction. If attention is constant and predictable, it loses emotional weight. But when presence is intentional rather than automatic, each moment of connection feels chosen and therefore more meaningful. This balance communicates that you value the interaction without being defined by it. Positive emotional stimulation also plays a central role. Lightness, humor, curiosity, and thoughtful conversation create experiences that energize rather than drain. People remember how interactions affect their internal state. When someone leaves a conversation feeling uplifted, thoughtful, or inspired, the memory of that emotional shift becomes associated with you. Over time, that association encourages continued engagement because it offers a reliable source of positive feeling. Another dimension of emotional experience is emotional safety. Safety does not mean predictability, it means consistency and respect. It is created when responses are measured, reactions are calm, and communication remains clear even in moments of difference. When someone knows they will not be judged, pressured, or rushed, they are more willing to express themselves honestly. This authenticity deepens connection because it allows real understanding to replace surface-level interaction. Emotional contrast also includes moments of space. Time apart from interaction allows anticipation to form. When engagement is not constant, attention regains value. Space gives both individuals the opportunity to reflect, to miss the exchange, and to return with renewed interest. In this way, connection becomes dynamic rather than habitual. Ultimately, attraction grows from the quality of emotional experience shared over time. It is not built through argument or persuasion, but through repeated moments that feel genuine, balanced, and positively engaging. When interactions offer warmth without pressure, stimulation without overwhelm, and connection without dependency, interest evolves naturally. Emotional experience becomes the quiet force that transforms simple interaction into meaningful desire. Genuine attraction cannot exist where freedom is restricted. When you respect another person's ability to choose their level of interest, you shift the foundation of interaction from pressure to possibility. This shift is powerful because people are naturally drawn to environments where their autonomy is honored. Respect communicates confidence not in the outcome, but in yourself. Respecting choice begins with acceptance. Acceptance does not mean passivity or lack of effort. It means recognizing that interest is a personal response, not something owed or negotiated. When someone senses that they are free to feel as they feel without persuasion or insistence, defensiveness fades. Without the need to protect their boundaries, they can engage more openly. Paradoxically, the removal of pressure often creates the very space where curiosity can grow. This respect is demonstrated through behavior more than words. It appears in patience when responses are slow, in composure when attention fluctuates, and in dignity when interest is uncertain. Instead of trying to control the direction of connection, you participate in it with awareness. You express interest clearly but hold outcomes lightly. This balance communicates emotional strength because your sense of worth remains intact regardless of response. Respecting choice also means valuing mutual desire over one-sided pursuit. When you recognize that meaningful connection requires willingness from both people, you elevate the quality of your interactions. You no longer measure success by gaining attention, but by experiencing alignment. This perspective transforms rejection from a personal loss into a form of clarity. Clarity allows you to invest energy where it is reciprocated rather than depleted. Equally important is the role of self-respect within this principle. When you honor another person's freedom, you simultaneously honor your own standards. You demonstrate that your presence is offered, not imposed. This distinction changes how you are perceived because value is often recognized where there is selectivity. By not clinging to outcomes, you communicate that connection is meaningful precisely because it is voluntary. Respect also nurtures emotional safety. When someone knows they will not be pressured, rushed, or convinced, they are more likely to engage honestly. Honesty deepens trust, and trust creates the conditions where authentic attraction can develop. Without respect, any form of interest that emerges is fragile, sustained by pressure rather than genuine feeling. Ultimately, respecting choice transforms influence into invitation. You are not attempting to create desire through force, you are creating an environment where desire, if it arises, is real and self-directed. This approach replaces urgency with patience, replaces control with confidence, and replaces pursuit with presence. When freedom is preserved, connection becomes meaningful not because it was secured, but because it was freely given. When these principles come together, attraction is no longer treated as something to win, but as something that emerges from who you are and how you engage with others. Self-mastery builds inner stability. Presence shapes the emotional atmosphere. Meaningful emotional experience creates connection. Respect for choice preserves dignity on both sides. Each element reinforces the others, forming a dynamic where influence is quiet, natural, and authentic. What begins as personal growth becomes interpersonal impact. Instead of striving to change someone's feelings, you refine your character, your awareness, and your energy. You create interactions that feel calm, genuine, and alive. In that environment, interest is not forced into existence. It is allowed to appear, to grow, or to pass with clarity. The deeper lesson is simple yet powerful. The most compelling form of attraction is not pursuit, but alignment. When you are grounded in self-respect and guided by intentional presence, you do not seek to be chosen at any cost. You become someone whose connection is meaningful because it is real, voluntary, and shared.